the 16th century, apparently the people who know more stuff than what we do go all the way back. Surprise foods tend to be a combination. So in the 16th century, they put live animals into your pie.
No.
And it's
surprise. You're cutting in. It's your puppy. You're like, oh my God. You're like, Spike. They're like, surprise. It's your dog. You're like, what kind of monster are you?
What if that thing is like really peeved from being like...
Surprise, it's a rattlesnake, and it's alive, and it's angry.
It jumps out, claw at you, like a kitten or something in there, a little mongoose or
that
something.
Sounds like so much fun. I want to make some surprise pie. Just full of spiders. Surprise, black widows.
Yeah, 16th century. What do you think? We could revive that.
Oh, do I ever?
We could corner the market.
Yeah. I want to make Rick a surprise pie, like there's a bunch of frogs.
Start jumping out.
That'd be hilarious.
I think you're and what if only like 1 out of 4 people got the surprise pie? So you're like sweating, beads of sweater coming down your forehead.
You're like, okay, so we're about to serve the pies. Some of these are cherry, apple, and others are surprise. They're like, what's in it? I'm like, it's a surprise.
And you know something's up when the crust is starting to jiggle a little bit.
You're like, oh God.
A mongoose. Again, I think you've got too much time and money on your hands at that point.
Oh gosh.
Because I think they're sitting there going, what do you think, Jeeves? Shall we bake a rattlesnake into a pie today and serve it to Sir Edwin of,
I will go fetch it for you. Give me a minute.
Well, I think that now I have been surprised by food.
Same here.
Yeah, I've I really like. Have you ever traveled to a country and you really like their food, but when you go to the country, it is very different?
100%.
Give me an example.
Well, this is kind of like I have 2 examples. So England, I always just thought, I heard they had really great Indian food, right? I went there and it sucked. It was the worst Indian food I've ever had in my entire life. And then, not to mention, their English food was the blandest food I've ever had in my life, right?
Yes.
And
I always want to tell you, they get offended when you say that, but listen, you guys have terrible stuff.
Terrible.
Other cool things. Yes, we love you guys.
Right.
The whole English.
But have you heard of salt and pepper? Just used seasoning. My goodness. But also,
would you fancy some twice boiled mutton?
I'm like, no, thank you. Give me a Ritz cracker. But also Norway. I went to Norway. Now they had, I'll tell you this, they introduced me to waffles, cheese, jelly, and sour cream. I know this is the craziest thing you ever heard of.
In one plate.
In one plate.
Let me think this through.
Waffle on the bottom.
Yeah.
Melted cheese.
Like what kind of cheese?
American
or
no, I don't know.
Okay.
It just melted. I remember that. So melted cheese, jelly, and then sour cream.
Wow.
And then you eat it like a taco.
Yeah.
And it's like the best thing you ever had in your life.
I had a friend from that part of the world, and I went shopping with him one day. I happened to see him in the thing. His entire cart was filled with milk products.
Yeah, that's all they do. It's
literally, and his kids were just roly-poly little kids.
Yeah, that's all they do. But I'll tell you this, they had another thing that I didn't like. It's called brown cheese, okay?
Brown cheese, just in general. In general.
This is the word. They were like, oh, this brown cheese, it's so good. You're going to love the brown cheese. They eat the brown cheese. So I take the brown cheese, you eat it, it melts in your mouth. It looks like caramel, and you think, oh, this is going to be really good. It melts in your mouth. It's the nastiest thing you ever tasted in your life. It tastes like dirt and old spoiled milk.
Ooh.
All in one. It's the worst thing I've ever had in my life.
Wow. Well, for me, I would have to say I love India. I love Indian food, but I stayed there for a month with my family, my kids, and day 7, I'm like, enough is enough.
Nate's told me that.
Yeah, because they're largely vegetarian in the places we were going to, and I'm like, they're like, oh, this is the best like butter chicken you've ever had, or this is the best thing. And I'm like, I've had 4,000 varieties of this by this
Your
time.
poor stomachs.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. And it was, so I think one of the things that really gets me, like I think sodas from around the world, like if I could import them and have them, because some of them are really cool. Like there's one, it's made on a little island called St. Kitts, and it's Ting, Ting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember Squirt, like the grapefruity. Ting is a grapefruit thing. Oh my gosh, it is heavenly.
Right.
Ting.
I've heard of that. I've heard of Ting. There was a soda in Brazil called I can't remember, like Guada. I forget what it is. But I'm not really a big fan of soda, just to be honest with you. I like ginger ale.
Yeah.
And most of the time I drink diet ginger ale, which I know it's not good for me, but whatever. But there was a soda, and it was made out of like, I don't even know what it was made out of. It was some kind of fruit, and it was so good. Like, it's like the most refreshing, crisp thing I've ever had in my entire life.
And then they end up, because I think what happens is like they save the cool stuff for their own country use, and then they export stuff that's like,
they're like, it's fine. This is like this is coconut water. Like, and it's not really from a coconut, but like whatever.
But I think just like, one of the things like, the Lord is living and he's doing dinner with all these people. He goes to, wasn't it Matthew's house? He has a big feast there, different festivals. And I think generally through Jewish tradition that the Lord is living in that ancient time, lots of festivals. I think we should reenact a lot more eating and feasting.
I agree.
In the body of Christ.
Well, listen, my favorite thing is, and don't get offended at me, people, but I love having, now, by the way, we've talked about this. I'm an introvert, right? So let's get that out of the way. But for the most part, friends and like people within my community, I love having people over. Like if I could have a big long table outside and let's have bottles of wine and nice dinner and we're just sitting there talking for hours. I love that. That's like my thing. And to me, that's where I get some of my most healthy church interactions. Yeah. Beyond just the shallow, like, hey, brother, how you doing? Great, sister. I'm blessed. That doesn't really mean a lot to me. But when I could sit down, have a meal with you, have a glass of wine with you, talk with you about God and your life and your family and your careers, your passions, all that stuff is like, that's gold to me. That's where I really find the person. And, I love it. So I agree. If we could sit down more together, it would be so cool.
It would be so cool because I love to cook too.
Yeah.
So now apparently this is non-alcoholic wine that you're serving to your friends.
No, this is definitely alcoholic wine. I have no shame in that. I'm a wine person. I love
because
it.
I think you just don't want to get hammered, and I think wine would generally. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you were a wino, you'd get trashed, right? But I don't know, and forgive me for being offensive to people, but we used to call them winos back in the day.
Yep.
But apparently they get trashed on, but most of the time you're just having a glass at dinner. And
I want to blow people's mind right here. Can I do this?
Please.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
I want to let you know that the majority of the people within ministry that you love are wine drinkers. I know them all personally, and I don't mind saying that. I'm just saying. I follow one who has a Instagram of his wine collection, and it's amazing. Like, I'm so jealous of it because it's crazy, but like, it's a nice thing just to sit around and enjoy. People like to collect it, so.
Jesus made wine.
Yeah, so don't freak out. And if
he made lots of wine too, like gallons and gallons and gallons of wine.
Exactly. He threw a big party.
Yeah,
let that blow your mind. So anyway, lest we
I
get
want to
off
coin a phrase, and you're going to have to, whatever episode this is, mark it, because we constantly say the word, don't get offended with us.
Yes.
Because I think like we're really, because Dave and I kind of have these sensitive pastor hearts, honestly,
right.
But we want to talk about stuff. So we're like, hey, I want to tell you this, but let me just put this
exactly.
Let's just use the word DGO. DGO, don't get offended.
DGO.
And now you'll have to come back because you'll hear us saying it in the future and you'll know. So let me give a couple of other things about strange and unusual. I think, the surprise pie was a great...
surprise pie is amazing.
You can actually hear rhubarb grow. Who knew?
I did not.
First of all, have you ever eaten rhubarb?
No, I was about to ask you, what the heck is rhubarb pie? I've heard of it. What does it taste like? Is it nice?
As a kid, I had, like a tiny kid, my only memory, somebody served strawberry rhubarb pie. And it was like, oh, this is really good. And then they pointed to the plant. They said, this is rhubarb. And I remember picking a stalk and biting, and it was like the most ungodly, bitter flavor I'd ever had. And to this day, I will not go near it.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never had it.
So will not eat rhubarb pie. That is the deal. But I think they used to just grow it and throw it in stuff. I'm just not sure. But here's how you can hear it grow. What you do is you take and you put it in to a dark place.
Okay.
And you apparently it tricks it into thinking that it is springtime, and you can listen to it. It grows so fast it actually pops.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
whammo!
Rhubarb's here. That's crazy.
There it is. There it is. And here's another one. Russia only classified beer as alcohol in 2011.
In 2011? Wow. What was it considered? Like a sports drink?
We consider beer more like a child's sports drink here in Russia. Mother Russia, you can have 7 beers before you play soccer, but then apparently, like, okay, it's alcohol.
Yeah.
Because why though? That's the question.
Because they're Russians. I mean, they probably use vodka as mouthwash.
Yeah. So compared to vodka,
right?
Beer was like, hey, child's play. Listen, that's a sports drink. It's for the kitties when they come to that. My Russian voice is terrible.
They're like, kids, you want something to drink with your food?
Yuri, bring the beer for this child's birthday party, please.
Oh man, I would have loved being a kid in Russia. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, and it wasn't an alcohol. Maybe it was like, hey, listen, this isn't alcohol, so you can drink it while you're at work.
Right.
And then like in 2011, like a bunch of the machinists and factory workers, knife sharpeners.
Yeah. They're like huge explosion at the blah, blah, blah factory. Beer's alcoholic now.
Was he drinking? No, he had no vodka.
Yeah, he only had beer.
He only had beer. We can't explain it.
He had 10, 15, I don't know. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, Dave, what do you think about because I think alcohol is a thing that really divides people in the body of Christ. And I get it. You don't want people that are ex-alcoholics. And, we've got some great friends that you just really don't want to, even suppose, that you're suggesting that they just can't do that. But I think it's one of the things that divide people. What's your theology about it?
I don't really have theology about it. I grew up being taught it was like, the devil's juice, and I get it. I mean, I know there's some people that really, really should not be around it. But I think it's one of those things, that in all things in moderation, I think it's one of those things where you've got to really talk with the Lord about it, cause I know people that are very responsible with it. I know people that are irresponsible with it. I know people that, I've been irresponsible with it in my life, especially in my younger years, my goodness. But I just think you have to bring it before the Lord and just really ask him, because I think too often we're like, well, the pastor says this, but it's like, have you done, read your word, ask the Lord, what does he think? And go from there. I just don't like to govern people's lives.
Yeah, I think because that gets into tricky business.
Yeah.
All right, and we might have talked about this before, but what do you do with hey, you drink a glass of wine, I smoke a half a pound of pot. Yeah. What's the difference?
Yeah. Well,
Dave, this is made from God's earth.
No, listen, my main thing I always go back to is, pot's illegal.
Yes.
And so that's number one. And we could go into all kinds of other things. I've got people that are like, I've got friends that are, man, listen, man, weed opens your mind and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But it's illegal. And so that's my stance on that. But alcohol's not illegal. So to some people, it is really not good. It's not good for them. And they have, some bad trauma with that. And so that's why I say to each person, they've got to be able to present that to their own hearts, to the Lord. And what does he say to you about it? That's what I'll always say.
Because I think first of all, I didn't understand the whole CBD thing.
Yeah.
But they popped up across America like the Chinese food places did. Remember, you were just driving in town and Oh, I've never seen a Chinese food place before, and all of a sudden they're everywhere.
Everywhere.
CBD
Right.
went everywhere.
Right.
But I didn't understand, but this is like the non-getting high form.
Yeah,
and
so
I know
it's-
you people are probably think I'm the most ignorant